Okay, so when it comes to scaling your online agency, I think this is a method that very, very few people are talking about, and there is huge opportunity to be made. And it's to do with SaaS. More specifically, it's about selling to your low ticket clients. So let me show you what I mean with this workflow here. Okay, so the basic idea behind this principle is the fact that everyone loves a high ticket offer. Everyone is trying to sell to the most high ticket clients they can find. And what that means is they'll often say, we only work with people who are doing $10,000 a month, or it's not a fit, you're going to have to go somewhere else. And that means your revenue only grows if you land a big client. And what that means is 90% of those leads in your pipeline are getting dropped just because they are not price qualified. But there is a lot of people in the middle of that who don't have huge budgets or the budgets you're looking for, but still have some money to spend and are interested in your service. And the crazy thing is you've already done the work to attract those people. You've done the outbound campaigns and they have come to you, but they're not price qualified. So you are chucking them away and you're not using them. And these clients probably aren't quite happy to pay $5,000 a month, but what they would be happy to pay is $200 to $500 a month. And it all comes down to just basic economics. If we look at the economics graph, I know Alex Hormozy loves this. We look at supply, we look at demand, we've got price on the y-axis, and we've got our quantity on the x-axis. What happens is often people are looking for the highest price, the people who are willing to pay the highest price. But when people are looking to pay a super high price, naturally, the quantity is all the way down here. If we sell to people who are willing to pay a lower price, then we've opened ourselves up to a much bigger market. Look, we are now at here, Q2. Bit of A-level economics coming in there. I knew it would be useful someday. Look at that gap. That's the quantity we want to fill. But how do we do it? And this comes down to productization. I'm going to show you how we can sell to those lower ticket clients. So what I want you to do is take your agency and the work you're doing at your agency at the moment. Let's say you're running outbound LinkedIn campaigns for clients. How can you productize it? By productize, what I mean is create a SaaS solution, a software as a service solution, as a result of the work you're doing in your agency. So, for example, what's a repeatable service that you're carrying in, day out? For example, it might be audits, it might be outbound campaigns, it might be reports, we have reports on there twice, it might be analytics. There are all sorts of different things that agencies are doing again and again and again. Let's say, for example, you are a LinkedIn outbound agency, and you're spending a lot of time connecting your clients with new prospects. Okay, so that's a repeatable service you're doing again. How can we turn this into a software? Question you want to ask yourself is, could X do this? So for example, could AI run outbound LinkedIn campaigns? Yes, it could. Could automations connect me with people every day on LinkedIn? Yes, it could. Could forms, could dashboards, etc., etc. There are so many things which can productize what you're doing. Could an NAN workflow do this? Most likely it could. So it's this idea of you're not trying to match the quality of service that you're providing your agency to those high ticket clients, but how can you productize it with the knowledge that you found about delivering your service for many years? How can you productize what you're doing and create a SaaS solution? So first thing that is super important is the right tech stack. And the right tech stack to change software is building by the day. As of June 2025, here's what we recommend. You've got two main options when it comes to building software. Number one is Lovable, number two is Bubble. These are both no-code tool generators. The Lovable is something we call vibe coding. And vibe coding is basically using AI to write code. It's super easy. Go to lovable.ai and you can literally type in a prompt and you will have 90% of your software product there. What that means if you're a LinkedIn outbound agency is I want to create a SaaS solution, which means that clients are able to connect with people every day on LinkedIn. Super easy example. Or write personalized AI messages on LinkedIn. Done. Lovable. You basically connect Lovable to something called Superbase, which is a backend as a service, and you can use these two together to launch your SaaS. The kind of typical problem with something like Lovable is that people often say about vibe coding in general, it takes 10 minutes to get 90% of your product laid out, and that final 10% gets super tricky. You can get stuck in loops where if you don't understand code, you're kind of screwed because it's all down to the AI to fix it, and sometimes it gets such a mess and so confusing. But if you're trying to build an MVP, it's fantastic. Something to remember about Lovable that's super important and no one is talking about is, unlike Bubble, or obviously unlike custom coding your own solution, Lovable means you don't have 100% of the IP. So you don't own you don't own the code, you don't own a lot of the workflows, you own the business, but you don't own the IP of the software. This isn't a problem if you're building an MVP, but if you're trying to exit it in the future or raise funding, it will become a concern. This happened when Bubble first launched. Bear in mind, Lovable is about 7 months old. Bubble's about 12 years old. It happened when Bubble first launched because people were thinking, okay, if I build a software on this, are investors actually going to want to invest in it? Invest loads of successful projects through YC and different rounds of funding have been launched through Bubble. But because Lovable was quite new, it's slightly, I think we're a bit unsure about how funding is going to work for Lovable products. That being said, you can build an MVP with Lovable, you can move on to Bubble, you can custom code it later on. You've got plenty of options. So moving on to Bubble. Bubble is a visual editor for software. Easiest way to think of it is think like Squarespace, but for building software. So Bubble has this kind of drag and drop interface. You can set up these workflows. Obviously you're still coding, but you're not seeing any code. It's all being done through a much more user-friendly interface. While I say Bubble is like Squarespace, it's not something that anyone can just pick up straight out of the box. It's something that does require skill. You may have to get Bubble developers involved, and is something that will take time, unlike Lovable, where you'll see it kind of come into force in a couple of minutes. That being said, both Bubble, both Lovable, you can build so much quicker than custom coding. And I think, to be honest, for most founders, custom coding an MVP nowadays is just off the table. And then the classic, the OpenAI API, which basically powers every single SaaS solution which is being launched in 2025, is super crucial because you want to embed AI into your app. Coming back to this idea of how can we productize things? Well, most of the time, your answer to that is going to be AI. That's your tech stack. And now I'm going to give you something which is really, really important to add to your value proposition, because the thing is with SaaS products is there are a lot of them. And if you launch one as an agency, you have an unfair advantage over most of them, not just because you can pitch, these as part of your services, but you have experts involved in the production of these apps. And what we often say to founders who are looking to build an app is, how can you add a light layer of human touch? So for example, can you have an account manager who just checks in once a month for an hour? Or a Slack channel where everyone can go to, or occasional feedback, maybe getting a call with them once a month. What this does is changes the perception of just a standard SaaS to a SaaS with a bit of service involved. So with a bit of human guided service. And what that means is you can charge a much more premium price for your SaaS. Because to be honest, if you're creating a SaaS that productizes what your services do, there's going to be loads of solutions already out there for quite low prices. What you can do is create a similar product, but add in the fact that you have an account manager that checks in on your outbound campaigns as part of this software. I don't know. And then what that can do is it makes the software better. People are more likely to invest if they know someone is behind the software. So back to what we were saying. What feels like a 2K a month service costs, £250 a month and takes 2 hours to deliver. And what I mean by that 2 hour delivery is you've got an account manager who's going in and checking every 2 minutes. So basic takeaway from this is sell to the nose. So many people are saying, these leads aren't price qualified, I'm not going to sell to them. And that just doesn't make any sense. DM ghosted leads, people you've thrown away in the past because it's not price sensitive. You've not just got all the leads which are coming in now which aren't price qualified. You've got all the leads in the past which you've rejected because they can't afford your services. Use it as part of your funnel. Use it as a sell down if people say the pricing is too expensive. And a lot of the time, what we see happen is someone says, I can't afford this software, and the agency I can't afford this service, and the agency will load them onto the software, and then a few months down the line, the client will be ready for the full service. It's the perfect way to not just keep your clients engaged, but add a whole new stream of revenue to your business. Okay, a few points. AI SaaS is very saturated. Of course it is. That's why you're going to do this. Add a light layer of human touch. Tick, we've sorted that problem. Prompting is not revolutionary. What do I mean by this? Let me take you over to another diagram I've drawn. Just something to consider. I'm not going to get into too much detail here. There's two things with an AI model. You can prompt them and you can fine-tune them. Fine-tuning a model produces some fantastic results and will differentiate you from something like prompting a model. Anyone can write a prompt. Prompts are not made to be these super complicated, expert-driven things. They are made so that anyone can do them. So just connecting up OpenAI's API and prompting and producing a result isn't really that fantastic anymore. Look into fine-tuning your model. All I will say on that for now. And then second thing is, a lot of agencies are doing this at the moment as part of a white label service. You can smash it out of the park because everyone's white labeling the same tools. You are creating your own proprietary software, which you can sell on to your clients. You own 100% of the IP of. This is super powerful. One more thing before you go, I want to show you someone we've just done this for. This is Phase 2 Growth, launched by Elliot Zisman. They're a fantastic LinkedIn agency. And what they've done is launched a product called Maestro. Watch this, I'm going to sign into Maestro right now. So this is my Maestro account. As you can see, like really simple kind of software approach. Let's hope I remember my password. Cool, here we go. Okay, so what did I say? They're a LinkedIn agency. What this means is I can run the majority of my LinkedIn account on autopilot through this software. So all these posts are being generated by AI based on what it knows about me and about my offer. I can go ahead, I can upload images, I can look at my recent posts, I can edit these posts, I can cancel these posts. These posts are, by the way, all posted automatically every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it gets better. I can start campaigns with Network Builder. I can start campaigns with a mail shot. If I've got maybe an offer that I want to send around to people in my network, mail shot, check this out. Okay, I want to go for founders. Let's say in the, hang on, what we're doing. Let's say in the UK, I want to go for founders. Perfect. Click continue. Great, now I can build my message, I can edit campaigns, I can add a connection request, I can change the suggested intro message. This is what productizing your service looks like. On Phase 2 Growth now charge $250 a month for a product like this, which previously they were just turning away their leads who were not this price qualified. There is huge opportunity here for agencies. There is huge opportunity. And with AI SaaS becoming easier and easier to create, you need to be looking into this. So Dashboard Daddy, the SaaS Labs, is down below, and we help agency owners do exactly this. And I strongly encourage you check it out because it's going to be freaking fantastic. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed.